Hello, guys. Thank you so very much for tuning in back to my channel. My name is Yetunde. Happy Sunday to you all. And thank you for your support so far. I want to say a huge thank you, guys. Thank you so very much. Just a quick recap where we stopped last week. We talked about happiness and the signs of apology. So today we're moving straight into happiness and the signs of forgiveness. How the findings of these researchers have come to the conclusion that if we forgive one another, we might end up living a peaceful life and a happy life, most importantly, in the end. And this would lead me to the findings of this great philosopher called Jack Confield. He is the author of The Wise Heart. I'm looking out for that book as well. And he talked about the architect of forgiveness. And one of the things he said about forgiveness is that forgiveness is not condoning what has happened in the past. If you keep, reminiscing about what has happened, you'll find out that you will never have a place in your heart to forgive whoever has offended you. So he went further to say that forgiveness is not sentimental and it's not quick. It's not an issue of where, it's easy for you to say, oh, I've forgiven you, and that's end the case. He said, no. It's, forgiveness actually is a deep process of the heart, which takes time for you to get over the hurt or the damage that person might have done to you. He went further to say that you should allow yourself to display some emotions, be it anger, be it the grief. You should show the fear. You should not conceal your fear. So many at times we always want to be the big one, the big person in every conflict. Like, okay, I'll take it with a pinch of salt. Meanwhile, it's quite hurting to our soul when we think about what that person have done. We feel a really sense of hurt within us that, oh my God, why have I, lose my guard for this person to have done this so much to me? Or, why have I put myself in this situation? And he also talked about that forgiveness, there's nothing like forgive and forget. He's trying to say here that yes, so you can't forgive someone, but it takes time for you to actually forget whatever they have done to you. So he went further, to cap it up that you must learn how to forgive yourself, which I think is one of the most important thing we will be discussing later in the course of my talk, where we talk about mindfulness, we talk about all this other topics. You would see the need for us to actually forgive ourselves, because there's a popular saying that says you don't give what you don't have. And this is what the concept of forgiveness is about. If we keep hurting about our mistakes, we keep hurting about what we should have done that we didn't do, or how we should have done things that we haven't done it that way, the opportunities that we have lost, we end up being a very bitter person. So one of the most important thing he stated is we must always learn or have the ability to forgive ourselves. A lot of us live in regrets. Yes, I can attestate to that. There's so many situations in my life that I ask questions. What were you thinking? How did you find yourself here? If it's not for what you've done, probably you'll be better off now. So there is always this regret around what some things that we do in life. And his own teaching was about us forgiving ourselves and looking into the next chapter of life. And this will lead us to the findings of the science of forgiveness, where it says that the human self has the ability to be vengeful. That human beings, we have a specific features about us that allows us to be vengeful. And also it says that there is also a particular feature about us that allow us to forgive one another. So, and this also cap it up that there's something in between in our lives as an individual that can help us to forgive ourselves at one point in time. Yes, there might be need for us being vengeful, but we should see reasons why we should forgive. And he also ended with that we should change the world, we should change our perceptions about things rather than trying to change the human nature. So we should not bother our head so much about, oh, I want to change the other person to be forgiven. It's not a forgiveness is a process. It's not something you can be coerced to do. It's something that actually have to come from your heart. It's something that I will actually take time. So if we imbibe the attitude of, you know, having the mindset of changing the world to be a better place, I think forgiveness will be easy for us to actually take part in, and to let go of any odds that might be associated. So it went further. Okay, I think this is the other researcher was talking about the yes and no concept. And what the yes and no concept actually means is that when you're being told, or when you're being given a no answer, we tend to have the human nature tend to have some sort of hurt. But when we're told yes answer, we tend to be happy. So he's saying that forgiveness can be linked to no answer. No answer in the sense that you're disappointed by the decision the other person has made. You are hurt as a result of the other person saying no to you, not feeling what you're feeling, and the person, in turn, tend not to be sensitive to your needs at the time. And and that's why they said that forgiveness should not be sentimental. So they went further to talk about the science of forgiveness, where this researcher also pointed out that for you to forgive another person, there must be acceptance that a grievance actually occurred. And let us even think about it literally. It means that you have to forgive somebody. You have to accept that there's an offense for you to forgive them. I think it's common sense. So it's saying also, forgiveness is having a swift away from punishment. So many are times. Okay, let me use the case of our kids as an example. When our kids done things that we're not so happy about, we tend to punish them for their actions. It could be you're not having your laptop for the next 1 week because you've been naughty. It could be, oh, you need to go and sit down in the naughty corner while I think about what to do with you. It could even go to the extent of, okay, you go and get a piece of paper, and write, I am sorry 100 times. So these are punishments to offenses. But what they're saying is forgiveness is a shift against punishment. You can necessarily forgive people without issuing any sort of punishment to them. And just I've rightly used our kids example, you see that sometimes where our kids don't do some things and you're like, okay, I'm gonna let you off. You're letting them off, you're forgiving them at the time. You're not having any sort of punishment within you. So that's the sort of forgiveness we are trying to talk about here. So it also says that forgiveness, at a point when you actually forgive a person, you tend to have a sort of compassion towards them. I don't know how far that is true. I'm yet to try that experiment myself. So this will take me to the benefit of forgiveness. I haven't talked about forgiveness. You can see it has a huge benefit to our well-being and our long-term happiness, because a life of stress, a life of anger and anguish wouldn't take anyone anywhere. So what they're saying is, if you imbibe a forgiving spirit, you will notice that it lowers your stress level. It gives you better health. You're less troubled about what that person has done. It gives you clarity, of purpose, of what you want to do, because already you've had the experience of being hurt. So it helps us to safeguard even our heart, which in turn would increase our well-being. So they went further to say that forgiveness is linked to happiness in so many ways that cannot even actually be put on paper. When you forgive, you have sound sleep, you have your hormone level is fine, is balanced, you are yourself. It brings about creativity in you. You have a content in your spirit is generally at peace. These were the findings of these great philosophers and researchers that have involved themselves in this work. Also, they stated that they carried out research at some time that forgiving couple tend to live a happy life, which I quite understand that, because if you cannot forgive, you're not expected in the marriage institution. I can tell you that your husband, that beautiful lady, that handsome man that you wish to live the rest of your life with, will hurt you at some point in time, if not every day. As I say to my husband, is one annoying gift God has given me, and yet I can't live without. You quarrel over every little things, and before you know it, you end it up with a kiss. So we must imbibe forgiving spirit to live a very good life. This will lead me to the new science of forgiveness. And the new science of forgiveness basically is talking about the link of forgiveness to our health, which I have stated before. I know the cortisol, when I was talking about the hormones, the cortisol is an hormone that metabolizes fat quick, in our body system to reduce our stress level. So, and they find this high in anybody who is quite forgiving. So we talked about the oxytocins the last time. We talk about the reaction of our vagus nerve when we are happy. We talk about the amygdala. These are concepts around our health that helps us in having a happy lifestyle and forgiving whatever grievances anybody might have done to us. So it went further to talk about forgiveness and our relationships, be it our family, be it our friends, be it our co-worker, be it our neighbor, be it any social connections. It could even be your friends online. So we must imbibe an attitude to forgive them and let go of the grievances so that we can have a purposeful and a happy lifestyle. We went further to talk about learning forgiveness. So what they're saying here is, the art of forgiveness can actually be learned. As I said to you, forgiveness is a process. But when you forgive a person, you have a lot of peace. So I think learning how to forgive, could be a worthy exercise. I know it's a cognitive exercise, which in turn will have a good benefit to us. So, also lastly, they talked about forgiveness and resilience, which is, we've dealt with that in our talk. Resilience is whatever happens, life continues. That's the way I can, explain resilience to you. So these scientists went further to create a 8 step of how we can live a forgiving lifestyle. And what they've said is, you make a list of those people that have wronged you, and you weigh, their offenses. So secondly is that you take one offense, one grievance at a time. It's an experiment. You can try it, because I'm willing to try that myself to see how it actually works. So what they're trying to say here is, you take one offense at a time, and you sit down, you reminisce about what this person have done, why they deserve your forgiveness. As I said, forgiveness is a process, it takes time. So what they also say is that you then put yourself in the situation of that offender. You know, the last time I talked about being less judgmental, and coming down with our overly standards that we place on ourselves. The scientist here is trying to say that sometimes when people hurt you, it's probably because of their poor background in the sense that they don't have good parental trainings or whatever it might be. It's not necessarily finance. So they also talked about, they might have been a victim of a bad parenting, being maltreated. They might have lived in an environment that's they're not opportuned to be loved. They might have lived a life of avoidance, and these too would affect who they are and how they treat others around. So what you're saying is, having gone through what that person might have done, you should put yourself in their shoes, that they might be facing a difficult time at the time. So probably that's why they've treated you in such a ill manner, and you then tend to start having some sort of compassion for their situation rather than you completely judging them for what they've done. So, what the scientists have also said is that you then try to forgive them. You look inwardly and find a place in your heart. You will learn the art of forgiveness. You need to learn how to forgive and to let go. So, and lastly, what they've pointed out also is that you can as well send them a gift, to show that you've forgiven them of whatever they've done. And this will also ease your mind that, if I can forgive them, or if I can, allow some sort of cognitive exercise to this level, practice forgiveness, and to have sent them something means that I'm letting them off one way or the other. This is what the scientists are trying to say here as well. So this will end um, happiness and forgiveness, the science of forgiveness. I hope you enjoyed it. Probably I should just talk about trust to end this segment, so that next time we will talk about mindfulness and how we can be mindful of our environment, which will in turn, improve our happiness. So I'll talk about trust, truth. We all know what that is, and the benefit of someone being truthful to you cannot be overemphasized. It's just an idea of atonement in the sense that attunement in the sense that they are attuned to the realities of what is happening, and they're coming forward to present that to you the way it is, rather than being sneaky or being, the modern day word they tell you is wisdom. Well, I disagree to that concept, but what they're trying to say is coming out the way you had to a person, be it in your relationship, your family, whatever, your co-worker, even your boss, to your neighbor, to anybody close or far away from you. We have the ability to actually tell them the truth at every given time, which in turn we're at peace with ourselves, that this person have told me the truth, even though it hurts. So this is what you know um the science of trust is talking about, basically. So thank you so very much, guys. I look forward to see you next time. Then we'll talk about mindfulness. This is another interesting one. Thank you so much, guys. I love you. Thanks. Thank you. Bye.